The music industry is full of people constantly inventing personas for themselves. Some personas are more outlandish, and others seem more genuine. Oliver Tree is a persona created by a man named Oliver Tree Nickel, and he is one of the first new artists that I have liked in a really long time. His style and songwriting were just a breath of fresh air to me in the current cesspool of pop music. I really had a lot of hope in this guy. I had a lot of faith in him. I thought that his music was going to usher in a new demand for alternative music for the next generation. But upon hearing the release of his second full-length album, Cowboy Tears, I know that that's not going to happen. Stick around as I try to figure out what the hell happened to Oliver Tree. This is Dancing with Ghosts. Oliver Tree first came onto my radar about 3 years ago when my friend showed me some of his outrageous music videos and other shorts he would post on his social media pages. This dude has social media down to a science, and it was not unusual for his non-music related content to go viral. As I stated in the intro, Oliver Tree is the first new artist I've liked in a long time, and the fact that pop radio stations have played his songs is kind of amazing to me. The first batch of songs that Oliver Tree released had a more industrial hip-hop/rap sound, but by the time he finally dropped his full-length album Ugly is Beautiful in 2020, Oliver Tree had developed a much more 90s alternative rock sound with electronic elements added in. Kind of like a band I know maybe this channel is named after. As you can see, Oliver Tree doesn't look like your average artist. From the bowl haircut to the pink and purple jacket to his obsession with riding Razor scooters. Oh, and if all that wasn't enough, he's rocking Jinkos. Yes, Oliver Tree is a callback to all of the things that were cringy about the 1990s, but played up in an ironic and humorous way. Oliver did other various music projects before gaining success with the Oliver Tree character. I won't get too far into the dude's history because it's pretty extensive, but you can find a little glimpse of who Oliver Tree would become in this cover he did of Radiohead's Karma Police back when he was just going by the name Tree. What I love about Oliver Tree is his image is super cartoony, but his music is dead serious. I would consider his debut album a masterpiece in alt-rock and alt-pop, with songs like Bury Me Alive, Hurt, Alien Boy 1993, Cash Machine. Oliver Tree really created something that was new and fresh and something you just didn't hear on the radio, yet it had the pop viability to be played on the radio. The promotion leading up to Ugly is Beautiful was a juggernaut as far as marketing standards are concerned. Oliver Tree appeared with all the major tastemakers in a bid to push his upcoming album. More viral videos were made, live concerts were performed, and singles were dripped out on a consistent basis. By the time the album dropped, it shot to number 1 on the US alt and US rock charts and number 14 on the Billboard Top 20. Oddly though, during most of the promotion for Ugly is Beautiful, Oliver kept threatening retirement and stating that, quote, "This will be my last album." This was backed up during an interview with H3H3 when Oliver Tree seemed to break character.
Ultimately, this is something that has been a long time coming, and through the process, I have become so fucking jaded working in the industry that this is my last album. So ultimately, let me just say this one more time, okay? Let me cut you off. Ultimately, this is my last fucking album I'm ever dropping as Oliver Tree. I'm done with this shit. The fucking record label can go fuck themselves. The fucking radio departments who just keep vampiring me and keep asking for more and more shit, they can go fuck themselves.
It was still almost impossible to tell, though, if he was truly leaving the music industry after only putting out one album. But we soon got an answer to that question. Several months after Ugly is Beautiful was released, Oliver kept dropping new songs. These songs were essentially B-sides to Ugly is Beautiful, but were not nearly as well crafted as the songs that made it onto the first cut. This is when I started personally becoming disappointed in the Oliver Tree project, because he was just releasing these songs that were so subpar compared to the stuff that he had released previously. And it was almost like whatever quality control filter that was in place was removed, and he was just putting out whatever because new content needed to be generated. I mean, take a song like Hurt and put that up against On and On. I mean, there's no competition. That song is garbage with its repetitive life goes on and on and on. Like, that song sucks. If that was the first Oliver Tree song I had heard, I would not have given him a second chance. I would have just written him off, like that Tones and I Dance Monkey song. The whole retirement threat turned out to be just another gimmick when Oliver Tree announced a new album to be dropped on February 18th, 2022. If the album's first single, Cowboys Don't Cry, seemed like a shocking departure, his new look was even worse. Sporting a blonde bowl-cut mullet, 10-gallon hat, cowboy tasseled jacket, and cowboy boots, there was a huge what the fuck moment going on with the fans. After hearing the first single off of Oliver's new record, which was titled Cowboy Tears, I was fairly unimpressed. Even though his new look was definitely not following the mainstream, his new sound definitely was. With the popularity of emo and country rap making their way into the forefront of pop culture, Oliver Tree decided it was a good idea to make a, quote, country emo record. I kid you not, that's the genre that he calls his new album, country emo. Where do I even begin on this album? The first single, Cowboys Don't Cry, was just okay. The second single, Freaks and Geeks, is just an annoying, ear-grating experience with the main guitar riff sounding like it was ripped off the Third Eye Blind song Never Let You Go. The third single, Swing and Miss, sounds like some 70s folk song with an old-school hip-hop beat and a melody that is trying to mimic the Beatles or Oasis. Most of the songs off this record have a similar formula to them musically. A folky acoustic guitar, old school hip-hop drum beats, and not very good vocal melodies. In the past, Oliver Tree would use his high-pitched voice in unique ways and would usually avoid the annoying parts of his vocal timbre. Not on this record. He almost embraces the annoying parts of his voice and really pushes them right in your face. He tries too hard to sing on this album and it falls flat. Lyrically, this album is just as unfulfilling with lyrics like, riding on this carousel if you catch my drift. Like, no. What the fuck does that even mean? He tries in a very superficial manner to be deep on songs like Suitcase Full of Cash and Cigarettes, where in the first song he sings about the ills of consumerism, and in the second song he is basically mocking people who smoke cigarettes, I guess to teach the kids a lesson? I don't know. By the time we get to the last song, Cowboy Tears, the whole cowboy shtick is so old you just want the album to be over. And at only 36 minutes long, that's pretty sad. Now, let's talk about the two main flaws of this album. First of all, there is nothing country about this album. Just because you used acoustic guitars on all of your songs doesn't even remotely make it a country album. Second, like, seriously, who is the audience for this album? It's too goofy to be taken seriously as an emo album, and it's definitely not going to win over any country music fans. I don't even see how any of Oliver Tree's original fans are going to hear these songs and be like, yeah, yep, this is what I signed up for. It seems like the repercussions of making a foolish career move like this are already starting to become apparent. The album hasn't done nearly as well as Oliver's first record, and only one of the new songs are in the top 5 on his Spotify page. Believe it or not, that is usually a good indicator of how people are liking an artist's new album. If most of your top 5 or 10 spots are songs from your new record, that typically means it's doing well. I feel like this is definitely the classic case of the sophomore slump. You release your first album to critical acclaim, you become super successful, and then right away the record label wants you to release a second album, and then the second album sucks because you had your entire life to write the first album, and the second album you have a couple years at absolute max. And I feel like that's what happened with this album. These songs sound rushed. They sounded like not nearly enough time was put into them as was the first album. And I mean, it just really shows. And it's really sad that that appears to be the case here. I mean, maybe Oliver wasn't joking when he said he wanted to get out of his record label so he could just focus on making movies. But man, what a huge fuck you to your fans by putting out something this half-ass as your last music project. You know, like, especially, you know, the fans that, you know, we really believed in what he was doing. And I just feels like he's just not putting the effort into it anymore. At the beginning of this video, I said I liked Oliver Tree because his image was a joke, but his music was dead serious. Now I feel like his image and his music are jokes with no fucking punchline. Anyway, it's just my opinion. Sorry, I got a little angry there at the end, as I usually do when I go on these little rants. What did you think about Oliver Tree's new album? What do you think about the new look? Has it just become too much of a meme at this point, or am I missing something? Did you even know who Oliver Tree was before you clicked on this video? If you don't, you should at least check out his first album, because as someone who loves 90s alternative rock, it's good. It's really good. It blends like everything. Pop, alternative, even hip-hop. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your night.